Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leo 13. I'm joined by Ocean Lion 08. We want to welcome you to the country of Italy at the legendary racetrack Imola for the second round of the second season of XRL's Dev Experience here in F1 2021. As we are preparing to get underway right now, last week it was a very interesting race, a lot of chaos throughout the entire event, but we come here to Imola. Imola is a relatively straightforward and relatively narrow circuit. I'm going to be honest, not a very easy overtake here. Strategy is key. Ocean Lion, in your opinion, what is the winning combination, setup, and strategy for this race?
Just to qualify up front and stay out of incidents. And I think that's it for me.
You make a fair point. Imola, very technical circuit. Like I said, very narrow, so there's not a whole lot of places to really make passes happen. Please stand by for just a second. I must apologize for that. The kettle is going off. I mean, it's still going off now, but now it won't be going off for much longer. Anyways, as we prepare to get underway here at Imola, 18 drivers looking to take to the track today. So with that in mind, we know that 3 will be dropped out right away going into Q2. Don't want the main map, I want the full track map. Here we are. Okay, so right now we're just waiting to see who the first driver is going to be that will try and get out onto the circuit. Both of the Herbs, Herbinator and AKA Herbie, both just retired in the pit, so I guess they must be serving qualifying bans. Yeah. In which case, then we only have one driver we'll have to worry about getting potentially dropped out. Well, the first car to get out on track for this session is going to be Vibe 574. Also, Dad Stop Gaming has been able to jump into the lobby now, so we now have 19 drivers. And Deja Vu has just gotten a penalty for a collision with I Get Dubs there. And you can see Deja Vu's entire front wing has been completely ripped off, and we've not even gotten to the first lap. But again, narrow track, all these guys trying to all just get to the line, and now Deja Vu has lost the entire front wing, and he will now have to serve a 5-spot grid penalty in the race. That's some major negative knock-on effects that we're going to see here. And now you see the Ferraris of I Get Dubs and Basic holding up there. Dubs, who was the one who got hit in that instance, able to continue by the looks of it, no damage to that car, so he's going to still push on with this lap. little bit farther back, Lopez has gotten out on circuit. He's there behind level 6 Beastian as they're navigating their way through Sector 2 right now. Also, still drivers coming out of pit lane, and they come out onto the racing line just about the area that you get into the braking zone. It can really be hectic as we see XRL Flavor come nearly to a dead stop, so he doesn't end up cutting off Vibe 12.4.574's lap. What I want to do is we're going to go ahead, run silent for a lap, and spend a full lap riding on board with XRL Lopez, the heads of the XRL series. See what a full lap is like under qualifying pace in the Red Bull here.
The first time to set a lap, he'll set at 1 minute 16.689. And PR UFC will improve on that with 1:16.280. Dirt Football sets at 1:16.232. He's coming to the line now. He was at 1 minute 24.986, so he probably got caught in something. First flying lap. Mission sets to 1:18.376. TAF Mr. Shark sets to 1 minute 18 and Reese's gone. He's been there at turn 5.
Car is completely destroyed, running off, setting offline. So that time of his 124.986, I think that may be indicative that there was a bigger problem with that car's setup.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and reach out to Reese, see if he'd be willing to jump in and speak on what may have happened.
At turn 3.
Thankfully, he'll be able to navigate that Ferrari offline. Alright, and coming in the party right now is Reese. Reese, go ahead and include your audio. Big accident took you out early in qualifying, and your first lap wasn't that great either. What happened out there?
Ran a bit wide, exit turn 5, touched the gravel and spun me into the wall. So I just ran a bit wide.
Were you guys having like setup issues or something? Because the 124 is not exactly a very competitive lap to say the least.
Oh no, I did the same thing on my first lap, but I managed to keep that one at the wall. But we'll see. It's probably the setup, but I did the same thing, but this time I couldn't keep it at the wall. So it's just unfortunate. Yeah.
Alright, well, do you think you can rebound in the race and get back into the points paying positions?
Yeah, I think I've got decent pace. So just need to avoid that corner. Not run too wide. There's that corner. The spin you're on all. So yeah, it's just unlucky, that's all. But I'll be looking to make as much position as I can.
Alright, well, good luck. We know how difficult it is to do that here, but hopefully you can keep it together in the race itself. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Alright, so we turn our focus back onto the racetrack. XRO Zola in the middle of the lap right now. He's going to try and be the 12th driver to set a lap. Also of note, Schumacher SF7 and XRO Veloce both have set their initial laps on the medium tire compound, so they're just trying to get an extra set of soft safe for the race itself. But Schumacher is at 117.864. That's over a second and a half off of Shu's time. I don't know if they'll be able to advance to the next round with those times right now. Oh, Flavor off circuit there at the ending parts of Sector 2. He is going to get going again, and apparently the lap he's on is still legal, but he was slow and off circuit there. Low on fuel as well. At the top, though, SFR Shu has now broken the 116 gap. He sets a 1:15.730 in his McLaren. Dad Stop Gaming now crosses the line, but he invalidated his first lap. So now we will see Dave Ewart begin his flyer, and we will see Bicyc 2 now go to the top with a 15.611. Took him a bit of time to get it together, but he did have a good lap in the books, apparently. Ready to go into the books, apparently.
Dad Stop Gaming gone.
Come on, Xbox.
And didn't see why this car be definitely been there that corner.
Yeah, maybe a case where we've seen this before, where a driver just is too aggressive, putting the power down, coming uphill through there, and they end up looping it into a wall. We're gonna try and reach out to him, as there is Lopez, who has had an incident now. He's gone off in turns 4 and 5, so he is back underway though. But now we have Dad Stop Gaming, he's crashed out. Reese has crashed out as well. That coupled with Herbinator and AK Herbie's incidents. At this point, 16 cars on track. Only one of them is going to not advance to the next round. It seems like Q1 at least has turned into a game of survival. I Get Dubs, who is in the other Ferrari, is still in pit lane, has not yet made an attempt to get out onto the circuit. XRO Veloce set his initial lap on mediums, but it was a 1:33.267, and we're anticipating that he can go faster. He may have just backed out or for some reason. Somewhere on the circuit, Dave Ewart has taken damage, and he's knocked off the left end plate on the front wing. And he's in the middle of a flying lap as well, or had just completed a flying lap, so more than a little bit frustrating for him, I imagine, but still a very strange scenario. Anyways, I'm looking at XRO Veloce right now, as he is now on a push lap. Still using a set of medium tires. He's already up by about 8 seconds in Sector 1 alone. He needs to maintain that for this entire lap, because right now he is the one on the outside looking in. Reese is on the bubble, but we will see him get pushed off that bubble once either Veloce or I Get Dubs put a proper lap in. Well, it was a very crowded track earlier on, but now we only have about 6 cars on the circuit right now. As we see Veloce coming out of the final corner, he'll pop open that rear wing, and across the line he will set a time 1:16.372. That's up there with Schumacher, the other driver with the medium tires. That pushes Reese out, and now everyone is in unless I Get Dubs gets his Ferrari on track sooner rather than later to get a lap in. If I Get Dubs doesn't get out there in the next 4 minutes or so, that's it. The lineup you see now, all 15 of those guys will advance. It should be noted, though, that Level 6 Beastian and TAF Mr. Shark are both out on circuit in preparation just in case that second Ferrari gets out on circuit. Mr. Shark has invalidated the lap he's in the middle of right now. Level 6 Beastian is low on fuel, so I wonder if he's going to go for another lap or if he's going to bin it. Again, a big hill in Sector 2 means that having no fuel and running out there would really be a problem, but Beastian does go for it, and he now sets a 1:17.541. That pushes him up to 13th. TIF Mr. Shark is now the driver on the bubble. in that Alpine. Keeps it nice and clean off the curb. Still no movement in the Ferrari camp to get I Get Dubs out there. Honestly, you may get dubs, but your username is IGetDubs888. You have trips, so you should probably consider a rename.
It's game crash, by the way.
Oh, oof. Well, in that case, then the question is, will he be able to get his game restarted and reset and get onto the track in time as Mr. Shark invalidates again, this time in the final chicane at the start of Sector 3. So for Mr. Shark, I think right now, he is hoping more than anything else that just Dubs is not able to get a lap in. And not able to get onto the track in time to get a lap in, because it's not looking good. He's really put on a lot of wear on this set of tires at this point. And if he needs to go out and improve, he's not going to have a whole lot of time to do anything. I'm seeing a Alfa Romeo coming back out onto the circuit. That would be JR Footballer, who currently has the 5th best time with a 16.232. He is now coming back out onto the racetrack. If Shark is able to improve, and frankly, all he needs to do really is just improve by about 6 thousandths. If he can improve by 6 thousandths, he will move up, and XL Flavor will be the driver put on the bubble. And as I say that, no, Flavor is not coming out into the circuit. That is Deja Vu, actually, in the other Aston. So a lot of drivers who are nice and safely in, going back out, probably just trying to get a little bit more data for their setup and for what they can do on the tires. Alpine driver keeps it nice and clean through the final sector this time, so there's only 2 more corners left. Again, Reese and Dad Stop Gaming both crashed out. Ooh, the Alpine right into the gravel, but it's still legal at the line, though it's not a fast time, 1:23, so he's down on time. He pedaled back real early on. Less than 3 minutes left. Oh, and that's JR Footballer again has had an issue, and this is a lot worse than before. That entire front wing's been ripped off of his Alfa Romeo in the first few corners, just as he was about to go for a faster lap as well. So that's not good for him. With just a little bit more than 2 minutes left in the session, their priority now is just going to be to drag that car back into pit lane more than anything else. He pulls over to let Williams get by. Mr. Shark up by almost half a second at the end of Sector 2. Now he's navigating the final 2 corners. Coming to the line. 117.053. That moves him up to 12th. Now it is XL Flavor who is on the bubble. Still no movement in the Ferrari camp. And time is clicking away. In fact, with 1 minute 27 seconds left, unless that Ferrari is coming out now, it's not going to happen. I think Flavor is safe. Yep, I will say that Flavor is safe. Now, he is on an outlap right now, so it looks like he may be considered going faster. But he is safe. He is locked in. 15 drivers. Into the next session, they will be Basic 2, SFR Shoe 381, Deja Vu TV, Zenguy 654, Dave Ewart 23, JR Footballer 26, PRUFC 1012, XRO Zola, Vibe 124.574, XRL Veloce, Schumacher SF7, TAF Mr. Shark, XRL Lopez, Level 6 BCN, and XRL Flavor. As we watch Flavor in the Aston Martin as he is now going for another push lap, trying to go just a bit faster here. His team, we know the Aston Martin has a competent setup. His teammate Deja Vu is the second fastest on the board right now. But at the moment, no one seems to be able to directly match the single lap pace that the Ferrari of Basic 2 or the McLaren of SFR Shoe has. Those two are the only drivers in the 15-second range right now. 4 drivers still on circuit. Deja Vu guy up there in Sector 3 on a cooldown right now. Then there's also Level 6 Beastin, who's also in the middle of a push lap. And that is I Get Dubs, who did get out onto the circuit, but he does not have enough time, I think, to get a lap in. At least on my screen, it shows that he has the checkered flag, so he's not going to be able to get a lap. Flavor now goes faster. He'll move above Beastian for 14, so 17.412. Level 6 Beastian is coming to the line right now. Well, coming to the last 2 corners, and then he'll be at the line. I think he's pulled off because he realizes the session's basically over. Yeah, he's coming into the pits now. And now we just wait for the Ferrari to also come into the pits, and then the session will be over. Alright, and that will conclude the first round of qualifying here. Veloci and Schumacher, of note, the only 2 drivers to do their fastest laps on medium, so they will have an extra set of soft tires that they can choose to use for Q2 or Q3 here. Alright, and then again for Deja Vu TV, in that very early instant, he has a 5-spot grid penalty he's going to have to serve going forward, so for him, getting into Q3 is essential, and even then, once he's in Q3, he's going to want to try and qualify as close to the front as possible. You have a 5-spot grid penalty, yeah, cool, you made it into Q2, you could still end up starting dead last. It's just one of those things. I do want to point out, though, the gap from the first fastest to the 15th is almost 2 seconds. 1.9 second gap between Beastian at 15th and then Basic 2 in the Ferrari. So if that holds up in the race itself, and we have a lot of long green flag runs, there is a high possibility that lap traffic could end up playing a massive role here. And XRL does have some very, very strict rules regarding the blue flags or black flags. Basically, if you're about to go a lap down, you are highly, highly, highly incentivized to move over, let the leaders by, unless you are significantly faster. For instance, the leaders are running on low fuel mode or on very heavily worn tires, and you're on faster tires. But other than that, lap down traffic is encouraged very heavily to move aside. Circuit as narrow as this one, there's not really a whole lot of areas you can just scoot aside to without issue. And there aren't very many long straights. There's only one DRS zone here, and even that is a very curved front straight. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that make things interesting. Could make things very interesting in the race itself. Now we're just waiting for them to get underway to the next round. Man, this is a long wait. I'm gonna guess that someone forgot to ready up.
Yeah, Herbinator 13 apparently. Oh.
Here we are. Now we're preparing to get underway.
Ooh, and it's wet.
Oh, and this is going to be interesting because that means that unless it stays wet the entire time, well, if it stays wet the entire time, then either they'll have to start on a wet racetrack on worn intermediates, or more likely, we'll be looking at a circumstance where everyone's going to be starting on fresh rubber of some sort. DRS has been disabled right off the bat as well. That's the other thing to consider. Now, there is only one DRS zone here, so it's not going to be as massive of an impact as it would be on some of the other circuits. But it still means that a lap is going to be even further slowed. You're not going to be able to, make up ground with the drag reduction system down the front straightaway. We're going to see lap times fall off significantly at this point. Nearly the entire field all seems to be rushing out on circuit right now, so I have to wonder if a lot of the drivers are feeling that it's just going to get worse and worse, so they want to get on circuit now before even the intermediates start fading off and falling off. So we could see the time set early on here in Q2 be the ones that dictate the entire pace of this session. In fact, as I'm looking at it right now, I'm only seeing about 4 guys still in pit lane at the moment. And that would be SFR Shoe, Level 6 BCM, both in the McLarens, and XRL Flavor and PRUFC in an Aston Martin and a Mercedes. TAF Mr. Shark moves aside to let, that is Vibe, 124.574 ahead of him. So Vibe is going to have nice clean track ahead and get this lap in here. Alright, so now we see Vibe. He's trying to get this in. Rain's not excessively thick yet, but there is one issue because the rain kind of came in between sessions. There is no proper dry line yet. So while the racetrack as a whole is not completely soaked and lost, there's really no difference between the proper dry line, and as Vibe very nearly loses it there in Sector 2, there's no real difference between the dry line and the proper racing line or being offline. All of it's kind of wet right now. There is kind of a counterpoint, I guess, to the likes of Lopez or Zola, who are a little bit farther back on the circuit. They will be coming around when a dry line is forming. They'll have a better view as to what the proper way around the circuit's going to be. Also of note, and this is the one, well, the game says Veloce is on soft tires, but I'm looking at him, and he most definitely has mediums on, intermediates on. So, anyways, Vibe coming out of the final corners. A little bit of a twitch in the Alpha, but he will set the time everyone else will go to. It will be a 125.372. There is a McLaren that has gone around there in Sector 2 that has level 6 Beastian.
No, he's letting our cars by, I think.
Oh. Well, he's just knocked over one of the signboards, and I'm sure not a whole lot of drivers will be happy about that. Deja Vu TV now goes up to first with a 25.248. TIF Mr. Shark has set a 26.224. Now Veloce goes to the top with a 24.526. Lopez, 24.535. As we ride on board SFR Shu right now, he is behind 2 other cars, and he's waited a bit to get out on circuit. There may be a small benefit for him. Well, in theory there would be. You should see a dry line starting to form, but in a lot of these corners, I don't see any sort of dry line. Shu very nearly invalidates it back there. This is not looking like it's going to be a very easy lap for him to set here.
Oh, Lopez has lost his front line.
Oh, and he had just set the second fastest time as well. But again, as long as he can bring that car into the pits, he'll be fine. Level 6 BC in the middle of his lap. SFR Shu also coming down. He's going to try and be the 11th driver to set a lap. Top 10 fastest at the end of Q2. Advance to the next round. So right now, Dave Ewart 23 is on the bubble. Coming to the line. Shu jumps up to third with a 24.637. So now it's Mr. Shark on the bubble with Dave Ewart on the outside looking in. Level 6 BC in the middle of his lap right now in the McLaren. And Basic 2 in the Ferrari farther up also on the lap. PRUFC has finally come out onto the circuit. He's on an out lap. XO Flavor still in pit lane, has not yet made an attempt to get out onto the circuit. Round the last 2 corners in that McLaren's teammate, third fastest. What can Beastian do? To the line. This is not going to be a good lap. 128.466. That's not even close competitive. I don't know if he had an instant they had to back out or what, but that's over 2 seconds off of Mr. Shark's time right now, and that's about 3 seconds off of Zola. Zola currently the driver on the bubble with a 25.670. Watching the McLaren go through Sector 1. He's up by about 7/10 in Sector 1 alone, but he needs to be up by nearly 3 seconds on a lap. And there is no dry line that has formed. A lot of the guys have already kind of set their laps and come in. Shu, in the other McLarens, just gone faster, 24.515. So we know that the McLarens have some level of pace in the wet, but Beastian seems to be struggling to make it happen. Really, really slow. Basically kills all his momentum right before that last uphill bit at the end of Sector 2. Veloce now 123.831. Beastian, he is up by over 8/10, but again, he needs to be up by about 3 seconds if he wants a shot into Q2 right now. It's not looking good for him. Basic coming across the line. He'll now go to the top with a 23.718. So now the mark that Beastian has to chase is even higher now. He has to beat Vibe, who has a 25.3. That's 3.1 seconds better than his prior time. So Beastian coming to the line. He'll get a time 128.127. He lost almost everything that he gained early on. He lost in the last 2 bits alone. It's not looking good for him. Meanwhile, PRUFC is out on circuit, 27.124 in Sector 1, 56.515 in Sector 2. He's the only Mercedes here in Q2. And he's now on the run downhill. 2 more corners left. He needs to be at 25.372 in order to advance. The circuit is wet, but there are so many drivers who are on the bubble, are at risk of getting squeezed out. Zola saw that he was at risk. He went out there. He improved at 25.165. Both of the Alpines of Dave Ewart and Mr. Shark have come into the pit lane. PRUFC 8th with a 24.990. That pushes Zola down to 9th again. Once again, Zola is at risk of maybe getting pushed out, depending on how these other guys go. Beastian, once again, as we focus on him on a lap. Also, Vibe 124.574 is on an out lap. He's ready to get another lap in. Beastian's down on time in Sector 2. He just cannot seem to keep that McLaren hooked up around the circuit here. It's not looking good for his chances. Zengai, he has gone 4 laps on his intermediate tires right now, so he seems to be going more for probably a heavier fuel load and just trying to see what these tires can do at the moment. In the Haas, the only Haas to make it in after his teammate had an incident that took him out in Q1. He is 8th on the sheets right now. Oh, and that's it! Deja Vu TV has crashed out in Sector 2! And a bad qualifying station goes even worse for the Aston Martin of Deja Vu TV.
What's wrong on the track?
That's right on the circuit as well. Good thing that Zin guy was on a was already invalidated. All right, coming into the party right now is Deja Vu TV. Deja Vu, go ahead, make sure your audio is included. Rough time in the first round of qualifying, obviously, and now an accident in Q2. Walk us through what has happened from your perspective.
Q1, Ferraris were holding me back up. They were slowing down in the middle of the road for Q1. Q2, I spun out. I just miscalculation, I guess. And that really upset me.
All right, well, yeah. All right, so we know that 5-spot grid penalty, coupled with the wing damage, in that incident early on means that although you're 10th fastest right now, it's likely you're going to be starting 15th or even worse. It's going to be a rough run up the field. Do you think you have a good strategy or a good enough car to get back into the points by race in?
Honestly, with a lot of people defending during the race, it's going to be very hard. But I still have a chance, but the chance is going to be slim to get pole. Unless there's a safety car that could change up some things. It could give me a wild card, honestly.
All right, one more question. Well, actually, 2 more questions, but one more question I do have for you. And if you don't want to answer either of these, that makes sense. So, intermediate here in Q2, so that means that everyone's going to be starting on fresh rubber for the race, assuming we have a dry start. What tire compound are you looking at, especially considering you're starting near the back? Softs, mediums, hards? What's your strategy going to be when it comes to at least the starting tire?
That you guys are gonna have to stay in tune for that because I can't give out my secret sauce for the race because
all right,
I don't want other competitors to look into it.
All right, well, I can respect that. All right, other question. You have a check mark by your name. When I went to invite you into the party, I saw you had a check mark by your Xbox gamer tag. Was that how in the world did you do that? How did they verify that you are who you are and not say your sister or your father or that one bully from 5th grade or something?
It's a conversation for later.
All right, fair enough. But it is something like actually official. It's just like not an emoji or some sort of special character that you can manually put in.
We'll talk about that later.
All right, cool. Seems reasonable to me. All right, well, thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Hopefully we don't have to talk to you again unless somehow you back into a really good finishing position in the race.
Yes, sir.
All right. So as we turn our focus back onto the racetrack, the track continues to be wet, and Deja Vu TV's time of 10th, 125.248, is still good enough to keep him in the 10th spot right now. So Vibe, the Alfa Romeo, he's invalidated this current lap. Both of the Alpines of Dave Ewar and Mr. Stark have really been struggling trying to get into the top 10. They need to beat a 25.248. It's just, there's no dry line that's formed on this racetrack yet at this point. It's honestly has really gone straight. Now, Dave is up by about 5/10, so about half a second right now. If he can maintain that coming to the line, he will get himself into the top 10. But we have only about 2 minutes left in this session right now. This is getting very tight for the drivers who are on the outside looking in.
I do have to say something, though. Being in pole position is going to be really hard because Spystick, he's been doing good the first 2 qualifiers. And I just got knocked out of 10th place, so honestly, my best bet is to go for pole position in Q3. If it's not raining.
Well, you're not going to make it in because now you're at 11th on the sheets. I mean 12th on the sheets now, so you're not going to be able to get into Q3, so it looks like you're going to be starting in like 17th, 18th position.
No way. Please tell me I get into Q3.
Nah, your time's already been pushed down to 12th, so there's no way you'll be able to advance at this point.
Yeah, and if you add DNF as well and still get into the next session, you're out anyway.
So that's like two separate cars. You're trying to say like a car for qualify? Well, nah,
Basically imagine it like this. I'll use this for an example. So at Jeddah the other week, Mick Schumacher had that big crash in Q2.
Right.
But if that time he had set before that incident was still good enough to get into Q3, it wouldn't have mattered. They didn't have a car ready for him. That's kind of the scenario we're looking at in this game.
right. Okay. Well, that's kind of hurting me. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'll try to do something.
Alright.
I'll try to find
Well,
top
good
10.
luck, mate. Good luck. Maybe a top 10 is possible. Oh, and Vibe's gone around! And Vibe, who has had an instant just a few corners ago, now spins and crashes, rips the entire front wing off just as the clock goes past. Vibe will not advance either after 2 spins, the last one ripping off the front wing. Counters him, and now he's into the wall again. He has no grip, it seems, on those tires at all anymore. So as of now, Zinguy654 is on the bubble. Flavor, can he push him out? The answer, no. Flavor only goes up to 14th with a 26.307. Now it's just up to TF Mr. Shark in the Alpine. His teammate Dave has made it in with a 24.446. What can Mr. Shark do to Zinguy? Coming to the end of Sector 2, he's up by enough, just barely enough time. He might be able to squeeze the Haas of Zinguy out. It's going to be close to the line. 2 more corners left for the Alpine. They're low on fuel. The car's at the lightest it can be. But again, the track is still wet. There's just barely a drying line starting to form. Out of the final corner, he invalidates. In the last corner, Mr. Shark invalidates. He's out, and Zinguy is in. Frustration. Well, that was a very interesting Q2, to say the least. So right now, Dave, you are in the other Alpine, is kind of coasting across the line. And we will see an end to the session now as Garrett Footballer brings his car into the pits. We did finally start seeing a dry line form at the very last minute and a half or so of that session. So if we still have rain, but that dry line is still there in the final round, we could see potentially slightly faster laps there. But these are your results. Basic 2 in the Ferrari advances, as does XR Veloci in the Williams, XR Lopez in the Red Bull, Garrett Football in the Alpha, Dave Ewart in the Alpine, SFR Shu in the McLaren, XR Zola in the other Red Bull, PRUFC in the Mercedes, Schumacher SS7 in the AlphaTauri, and Zinguy in the Haas. I do want to say good job to the Red Bull team. They are the only team to get both of their cars into the final round of qualifying here. And Zola is historically not a very good qualifier. He's normally better on race pace and strategy. If he can get a nice top 10 start, or even higher than that, this could end up turning into a very good race for him. Now we're just standing by, waiting to get into the next round. Alright, and coming in the party now is Vibe 12. Vibe, go ahead, include your audio. It was a rough instant, rough pair of spins. One of them ripping off the front wing at the end of Q2. Not able to advance in the final round of qualifying. What happened from your perspective? Vibe, do you have audio out of curiosity? Okay, Vibe might not have audio enabled. Well, if you have anything you want to say regarding the instance in Q2, feel free to go ahead and you can at least type them up in the chat, and I will in the party chat, and I will see them and
there we go.
Speak about them. Oh, okay, so you do have audio.
Yes.
All right, so instance in the final round of qualifying. Basically, well, not the final round, but final round for you in Q2 keeps you from being able to advance into the pole shootout. What happened out there?
Well, track dried out a few final minutes, as you saw, and what happened was my inters were very one, and obviously inters on a dry track does not go well, and they were very fast. So my veers were, I think, at about 40% by the time I came into the pits, including all my spins, stuff like that. And yeah, I just had no grip out there just because of the track drying out so rapidly and me being on wet tires that I'm built for a dry circuit. So just outing mistake on my part. Can't really blame anyone for that except myself. I was thinking about actually pitting and jumping onto dries. I think it was about the 3-minute mark because I could see in sector 2 it was starting to dry out at like the downhill part. And so I was going to, but then I was like, oh, I just got pushed out, so I gotta stay out trying to get another lap in. But that backfired because of the track. And so I couldn't really do much, and then, yeah, with my spins, I had no wings, so I had zero chance of setting anything, so.
Well, need to say frustrating running qualifying, and just kind of like a struggle being able to keep up with changing conditions, especially when the lap around here is about 1 minute and 25 seconds under those conditions. So I do want to ask though, it looks like you're going to be starting in about 13th, 14th position, somewhere around there. Do you think you have a car and a strategy good enough to get you into the points?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in the strategy that I've prepared myself for. Last night I was up a few hours, just sitting there. I was in time trials, I was in Grand Prix, just picking some strategies, seeing what I can make up. And I'm very confident in the Alfa Romeo chassis. Very good car, as much of a backmarker as it is in the real life season. We're on equal performance, and I'm very familiar with just the Ferrari engine in general, so I'm very confident, and I could say very cocky, but I don't want to use that word in the Alfa Romeo. So I'm excited to see what goes down.
Alright, well, you can be as cocky as you want, but just make sure you have all your roosters properly gathered up. And remember, they don't lay eggs, so you don't have to worry about counting their eggs before they hatch.
Yeah. It's, there's some people in this, in Q3 who I feel like I might rival, especially the reserve driver, junior footballer. I haven't talked to him much, but I'm hoping me and him can get up there. I'd like to see Alfa Romeo, plus however you want to call it, returning to the top. That'd be nice to see. But yeah, I'm hoping I can pull something off. Maybe a few points would be nice, because I wasn't there for the last race, because I was busy. So I'm hoping I can get off to a good foot on Imola.
Alright, well, I do want to say thank you very much for being willing to jump in and talk with us. Hopefully we don't have to worry about talking to you again unless it ends up being from a fantastic run to the end of the race.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's what happens. I'd definitely be willing to join back in here and talk, that's for sure.
Alright, thank you very much. Have a good race, mate.
Yep.
Alright, a little bit of strategy going on in the Red Bull camp. You saw there, Zolas was in the middle of a lap, but he was held up by his teammate. However, despite that, he was willing to get in front of Lopez and give Lopez a long and powerful pull down the DRS straight. The only team that seems to be able to make that work. Now Lopez has the entire track to himself as Zola intentionally ran off in turn 1. Clean track for Lopez as he's trying to make a good lap in. Now it's just a run down to the last 2 corners in that Red Bull Honda. Lopez, when he crosses the line, he'll be the 4th driver to set a time. Right now, Veloci and Schumer are the only ones who have put down competitive lap times. Lopez now crosses the line, 16.767. That's good enough for third at the moment. Now Dave Ewart jumps ahead with a 16.425 in the Alpines, and we know the Alpines have speed, but only one of them able to make it in just due to some unfortunate circumstances. Here comes Basic 2, who has been the top of the timesheets pretty much both of the last sessions. At the line, he'll set a 1:15.295. That's that's about a quarter of a second faster than Veloce's time right now. SFR Shu in the McLaren aborted on his initial lap, then came right into the pits. Zola has gone around in Sector 1, and he's getting going right as Basic comes up and has to just squeeze out of the way to avoid that Red Bull. Zola just seems to be having a little bit of struggle here in the pole shootout right now. Oh, and he's around again! Man, that didn't take him long. Anyways, PRUFC in the Mercedes has also just brought his car out into the circuit, so he's now on an outlap. SFR Shu coming across the line and now beginning a flyer. He'll be the 7th driver to set a lap if he can keep it clean to the end. Out of the first corner, Sector 2, now we see the McLaren hustling uphill, then a medium to high speed set of corners here. Very brief run, downhill, then to blind corner, uphill, just gradually tightening right-hander. Really have to lay on the acceleration through there. 50.5 at the end of Sector 2, now through that final chicane, and it's the run downhill to the last 2 corners. So Shu has set a 15.752 in the McLaren. Right now the focus goes to Zengai and a little bit more sooner than that, PRUFC. And the Red Bulls, despite their shenanigans, their times have not been as good as they were looking for. They're 6th and 7th, that's 2 slowest right now. Now Zola obviously kind of got held up on his initial flyer, then threw away his following lap to try and help Lopez out, but Lopez only was able to set a 16.767 with some massive drafting help down the straight. It's looking rough for the Red Bulls when it comes to qualifying, but still being able to get into the final round of qualifying will help in its own way, but still looking like it's not going to be a super easy run for them. So PRUFC 16.668, that's good enough for a 6th at the moment. Zengai has invalidated the lap he's in the middle of, so he's going to have to either pit now and rush to get back onto the circuit, or just go for another lap. Red Bull off, that is Lopez, who has gone off there in Sector 1, just before the end of Sector 1. I don't see any damage on that car, but he was deep into the gravel. Footballer also in the middle of a lap right now. 1 Alpha did not make it into the final round, but JR Footballer was able to bring his in. 24.606 at the end of Sector 1. It's looking very, very solid for him. Coming out of that rapidly tightening right-hand corner, uphill at the end of Sector 2. Footballer now at 50.748. This could be a very good lap in the Alfa Romeo. He's really clean, exiting that final chicane. There's less than 2 minutes left. He is on the run down to the final 2 corners. Even if he bottles it, he will, assuming he doesn't invalidate, he will be able to get another lap in. Veloce, Schumacher, all on new outlaps. Those are your second, third, and fourth fastest drivers on the sheets right now. Across the line for Footballer, it's fourth, 16.175. There are 3 drivers in the 15 range. 2 of them, Veloce and Schu, are back on circuit again. Zingai and the Haas has also come back onto the circuit. This will be his last chance to get a lap in, because there's 1 minute and 25 seconds left on the clock right now, as he is just exiting Sector 1. That means that when he gets around, he's only going to have 1 shot at this. He cannot afford to invalidate. Both of the Red Bulls are out on circuit. Zola has invalidated the prior lap. He needs to go faster, but he is still nearly 6 seconds off the next closest guy, and that's his teammate Lopez, who is still struggling. Now, Lopez is up a bit of time. He's actually up by about 4/10 at the end of Sector 2. Coming out of the final 2 corners now. He'll straighten the car up, put on the gas, really struggles keeping that rear end under him, but he pops the DRS open. Lopez yells up the fourth with a 16.003, so there is some speed in the Red Bulls. Can Zola tap into that same speed, though? Dave Ewart coming to the line with 40 seconds left. It will be a 1:16.5. That is down on time compared to his prior lap. It's not looking good. Schumacher now beginning his flyer lap. SFR Schu is now beginning his flyer lap, and Zingai is now going to begin his flying lap. Coming to the end of the session, JR Footballer coming to the line. Is he any faster? The answer is a fat no. He is 2 seconds down, but he made it with 20 seconds left. He could get 1 more lap in. The real question is going to be the current pole sitter, Basic, as the clock is ticking away. Will he make it to the line in time to get 1 more speedy lap as a defense? 7 seconds, 6, 5, yes, he'll get 1 more shot at this. The next driver to cross the line will be Zola at the line. He will set a 1:16.294. That's good enough for 6th. Time is up for him and the Mercedes of PRUFC, who is still in pit lane. The next driver to come to the line will be Extra Lopez. He's invalidated his lap. It's not looking good for him. Veloce, who has the second fastest time right now, is up by over a third of a second. That would be enough to beat Basic's time right now. Can he make something happen with that Williams as he slides out of the final corner? Power down, DRS open at the line. He will set a time 1:14.890. He is in the 14 range. Here comes Dave Ewart to the line. He is down on time at the end of Sector 2. He will be just slightly faster, but it's not going to be enough to do anything. Schumacher has himself just up to the third with a 15.642. Here comes Zingai to the line. Shu not able to improve. Zingai third, 15.462. He's the wild card. Now Basic, who was at the top of the timesheets earlier, is going to have to try and do the same thing again. I don't think it's going to happen, though. It'll be close. Can he make it happen with the Ferrari? Final corner. 10 seconds, 11 seconds, 12 seconds, 13 seconds. At the line, it will be at 14.762, but I don't think that was enough to take the pole back.
It was.
At the lap. It was? Okay, it didn't update in time for me. I just barely was able to read his time. So at the very end, Veloce goes faster, and at the last potential moment, Basic kicks the pole back. So it'll be a Ferrari-Williams lockout, a throwback to the days of the 1997 season by the looks of it. Third will be Zingai and the Haas. He's a full 7/10 off of the pole set. Schumacher SF7 is going to be starting 4th. SFR Schu and the McLaren will be starting 5th. XR Lopez will be starting 6th in the Red Bull. Jair Footballer will be starting 7th in the Alfa Romeo. XR Zola will be starting 8th in the other Red Bull. Dave Ewart will be starting 9th in the Alpine. And 10th will be PRUFC in the Mercedes. So a really wide spread from top to bottom. But amongst the top 2, Basic and Veloce, we could see an incredible run today. So now it's just going to be the 5-minute wait period until we get into the race itself. So while we do that, we're going to go ahead and look at the point standings as they are right now. Really interesting circumstances, again, because we're only one race in. Last week was USA. From the bottom to the top, Ferrari and Alfa Romeo still have yet to earn points in the Manufacturers' Championship. 8th is Alpine, they have 2 points thus far. 7th is Aston Martin, they have earned 4 points. 6th is Haas, they have 6 points. 5th is Mercedes with 11. 4th is AlphaTauri with 13 points. 3rd is Williams with 16. 2nd is Red Bull with 26 points, and they are in a tie with McLaren for lead. So Red Bull and McLaren fighting at the top of the championship in the manufacturers. When it comes to drivers' championship, though, things are a little different. I'm only going to go through the drivers who have earned points thus far. Dad Stop Gaming is 11th with 1 point. That brings them into a tie with Arctic Prodigy in 10th. They both have a single point. TF Mr. Shark is 9th with 2. 8th is Kinsey Retro with 4. 7th is XR Jigsaw with 6. 6th is XR Lopez with 8. 5th in the Drivers' Championship standings is PRUFC 1012. He has 11 points right now. 4th is JR Football with 26. He has JR Football at 26. He has 12 points. 3rd is Herbinator 13 with 15. 2nd is XO Zola with 18. And your current points leader is SFR Shoe 381 with 26 points in the McLaren. As right now we stand by to get underway for the race itself. Again, interesting thing to note is that because Q2 was rainy throughout, no one is going to be on tires. Everyone is going to be starting on fresh rubber. So as we look right now through the entire grid, you'll be able to see some drivers going with soft, some of them going on mediums. At the back, AXA Herbie 53, who will be starting 20th. Soft rubber for him. 19th, Dad Stop Gaming. It looks like he's choosing to start on soft as well. I Get Doves in the Ferrari. Medium rubber on his part. Deja Vu TV, he'll be starting on soft. 16th, Herbinator. Despite the fact that he served a qualifying ban, everything's worked out well. He's starting 16th rather than 19th or 20th. So I guess fortune favors random people sometimes, but he'll be starting on soft rubber. Reese in 13th and 15th will be starting on mediums. XR Flavor in 14th, who will also be starting on medium rubber. 13th will be Level 6 Beastian, and McLaren, he'll be starting on softs, as will Vibe 124574, TF Mr. Shark, PRUFC 1012, Dave Ewart, XR Zola, JR Footballer, XR Lopez, and SFR Shoe. So everyone starting from 13th to 5th looking like they will be starting on soft rubber. Then ahead of them, Schumacher SF7 will be starting on mediums, as will Zingai 654 in the Haas. And your two the two drivers who are fighting for pole, the men who will be starting on the front row, Basic 2 and XR Veloce, they both are opting to start on the soft tire compounds. Again, though, must be said that everyone will be starting on fresh rubber, so we don't have to worry about any sort of lap or 2-lap discrepancy when it comes to tire wear. Again, other thing to consider, you're required to go through at least 2 different compounds of rubber in this race. So, no, I'm not going to say what may or may not happen, but I will say that we could see some drivers make more than that number of stops if we have some yellows in the mid part of the event. Also, lap traffic could end up being a big issue because some of the drivers near the back of the grid are multiple seconds off the leader's time, the pole sitter and outside pole sitter's time. Lap traffic could end up being a big factor simply because of how difficult it is to navigate through traffic here. Alright, now we're prepared to get underway. 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out, away we go at Imola. Ferrari gets a little bit late on turning in for that very first bid, but he will slot in front of Veloce. They're 3 and 4 wide. There's a Red Bull, hard into the wall for the back, that's Zola. There's a bunch of incidents going on. Herbinator destroyed. Zola destroyed. Herbie destroyed. Dad, stop gaming. Does he have damage on that car? I think he does, but a massive incident right at the start. It looked like two different incidents. Full course virtual safety car now. A Ferrari. That's I Get Ducks. It's just gotten run into by Deja Vu TV. Potentially some payback, although it'd be payback against the wrong Ferrari. Potentially payback for what happened in Q1. And then we are now under a full course safety car. At the front, Ferrari still leads over Veloce. Zengai third. Lopez worked his way up into fourth, so while one Red Bull went right to the back and out, the other has moved up a bit. SFR Shu is now in fifth, and this will help his championship hopes a bit. Dave Ewart is sixth, JR Footballer seventh, Vibe in eighth, so the two Alfa Romeos have found each other on circuit. Now, as they come across onto the main straightaway, we'll see who has to pit to repair damage to their cars. That is Footballer. He has to pit to repair damage to his machine. Who else is there? Reese and I Get Dubs and Deja Vu, they're all coming in. Flavor avoided the incident. Schumacher, he has to pit as well. And Schumacher started near the front, so I'm guessing, from what I understand, that Schumacher and Zola must have made contact. And then as they were spinning and looking to merge back onto the circuit, the other drivers farther back kind of started running into each other. As we're trying to get contact with Zola or the two Herbs that ended up getting taken out there. Something's gone wrong in the AlphaTauri camp. Schumacher SF7 is stalled on pit lane. Also, the cameraman who's looking at his car is extremely drunk right now, it would appear.
Oh, it must be a glitch. I don't know. That's the session anyway.
So Basic leading at this point in the event, as a massive incident on the run down to turn 1 leaves us short 3 cars, as we are now under a full course safety car here. I anticipate we'll be going green about lap 4. Reese will be able to catch the back of the grid just as they're coming through the last 2 corners. But Schumacher is still 23 seconds out, and yeah, it looks like he's jumped back in, so maybe some sort of connection issue for him. But he is back onto the circuit, back in now at least. And he's about half a lap down compared to the leader, so he needs to really hoof it to catch the back of the grid. Dad Stop Gaming, I don't know what they're doing in that second AlphaTauri camp, but he's backed up the field just a bit down the straight. Hopefully Schumacher is able to catch the rear of the grid this lap so he can go sooner. Now he's coming back in. Something else is wrong on that AlphaTauri. So by the looks of it, not only is he not going to catch the back of the grid, there is a high risk that he might end up going a lap down once we do go green again. Another wing change, and they're putting on another set of medium rubber on his car. Alright, so now we turn our focus once more. Well, I'm still looking at Schumacher. He's still about half a lap down. Actually, a little bit more than that. He's closer to 2/3 of a lap down as he is rushing to try and catch the back grid. But with this gap, I'm just going to be honest, there's no way he's going to be able to catch the rear of the field before we go green flag. Right now, for him, he's just trying to stem the bleeding. After being involved in a lap 1 incident, and something else went wrong apparently, and they had to do 2 wing swaps under the yellow. So 16 cars will be taking us to the green flag here. Basic will be the leader. Or are we going green? Lights are
No.
still on the pace car. Yeah, we're not going green yet for a reason, so this works out well for Schumacher at least. So we'll be going green on lap 5 then, by the looks of it.
Or 4.
Well, we're on lap 4 now.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be this lap.
One small advantage for Schumacher with this scenario, he will have relatively warm tires compared to most everyone ahead of him. Not excessively warm, but relatively warm, so it's likely he won't be in a horrible position. And I Get Dubs has now had a collision with Reese, and now he's been given a time penalty and has dropped behind Deja Vu as well. So more chaos with the Ferraris. As Schumacher has finally caught the back of the grid. So yeah, we should be going green this lap then. Alright, pace cars pulled away. Basic really holding the grid up on the run down into the last 2 corners. Trying to get into Velocio's head. Reminder, Zingai, who is in 3rd, he is on medium rubber. He's not going to be able to keep up with the 2 leaders as Basic and Veloce shoot out of the final corner like out of a cannon. Williams right behind the Ferrari. Is he going to try and make a dive on him going into 1? He looks inside, looks outside. He's committing to the outside, side by side to 1. He barely makes just a bit of contact with the Ferrari and has to back out. Basic holds on to the lead. Farther back, Zingai holding Lopez off behind him as SFR Shu is also behind the Red Bull. I Get Dubs back there in 16 now has a time penalty for track violations, and Reese has had some sort of incident. He is plummeting through the grid right now. Wing damage on the Mercedes.
He hit the back of that stop gaming, I think.
Oof. And Schumacher is caught behind the Ferrari of I Get Dubs right now. He seems to be faster, but is really hesitant trying to pull alongside the AlphaTauri. McLaren is of SFR Shu right there behind Lopez, and Dave Ewart is a little bit farther back, ready to capitalize. No DRS this lap. We won't see DRS engage until the following lap, and realistically, we won't even see it being a factor until the lap after that. It will be a while until that happens, so any overtakes you see will be pure driver ability or just capitalizing on someone else's misfortune. Shu, though, has a huge run on the Red Bull of XRO Lopez. Is he going to try and make a run for it? The answer, yes, he is. To the inside, into 1. He gets right underneath. Ends up actually hampering his own run, though. Falls off the Red Bull just a bit. Dave backed off a bit, and that let Vibe close in on him.
Your football was running outside that's up gaming for 13th. At the back, that's what gaming got a really poor safety car restart.
And now Schumacher, and now Dad Stop Gaming is going to let Schumacher by as well. So Schumacher already up in the 14th spot. Also, Reese and I Get Dubs both had to pit for damage. Reese threw on sauce. I Get Dubs throwing on hard tires, so he is betting that he can run to the end. And then race leader Basic has had an incident. Basic has spun in Sector 2. He goes from the lead all the way down to 9th position. As Vibe gets by Dave Ewart for 5th as well in the final chicane. So now Veloce is leading. Clean track ahead, clean track behind. Ooh, Dave really having trouble putting the power down out of the final corner, and that will let PRUFC sneak by him there. As now Basic is trying to run down TAF Mr. Shark. Now for Basic, who led the first 5 laps without issue, now he has to try and make all this ground back up, and that's going to be rough because traffic, lead lap, and lap down will end up being a massive factor. I get dumped another time penalty back there. Lopez still right there behind Zengai. He's trying to make those soft tires work. Right now, though, Zengai just needs to run defensively. Lopez has to back way off, and he's going to leave the door open for a McLaren and an Alfa Romeo go by. Lopez goes to 3rd to 5th in about a corner. 5 now has a run on Shu, uphill, going into the final chicane. Does he make the dive? The answer, no. He backs out of it at the last moment. But that McLaren is not doing great. I think all the aero wake from the Haas has caused him to burn up his rubber faster than he wants. And there's a spin. That's Deja Vu TV, who has had a spin coming out of the final chicane. That'll drop him out of the points down to 14th spot. All right, Shu now has DRS on the Haas. He'll go around the outside, easy overtake. Now what will Vibe try to do? Will Vibe try to do the same thing? Vibe to the outside, and he'll make it stick, but can't keep it together on exit. They're side by side. The Haas is still there. He's made the crossover work, but can he complete it? No! Vibe will get by the Haas in the end. So now Vibe is the one trying to run down Shu for a 2nd spot, and as these guys are all fighting, it means that everyone from 2nd back to 7th is all on top of each other. Dave, PRUFC neck and neck for 6th and 7th. In the end, Dave lets off to let PRUFC go by. Lopez gets a time penalty farther up. I think Lopez has burned the best off the tires, and he is really struggling in the dirty air right now.
By the way, we got the fastest lap in the race, and then you are able to get past Lopez. Schumacher's got the 2nd time penalty now, as he's trying to close up to.
And Shu has opened up a more than 1 second gap over Vibe, so he has broken away from everyone else. Zengai does have DRS though on Vibe, and he will be trying to use it to close in on him. PRUFC, Dave fighting for 5th and 6th. Alpine easily clears the Mercedes. And Basic, who was leading earlier, is just about to catch this group of cars fighting for 5th position. Schumacher now gets by Flavor for 11th. Zengai, time penalty, he's there in 4th, and Lopez has gone off. He has spun off there in turn 4. And that will drop him well down the grid. So Red Bull's struggling all day.
TV's gone as well. He's lost his entire front wing.
And Flavor has gone off as well.
Both Aston Martins have gone off. HWTV has lost its front wing. Flavor doesn't appear to have any damage.
And for 2nd, the battle is now heating up because Vibe has closed back into DRS range on the McLaren. And Veloce is walking away from everyone else. All right, going down the front straightaway. The Alfa Romeo has DRS. Oh, and Dave's had a spin. Dave has spun coming out of the final corner. He is backwards compared to everyone else on circuit. I think he's lost the entire front wing as well. Yes, he has. Vibe overtakes Shu with DRS. Shu's around. Shu has spun in turn 2, and now he plummets through the grid. And Veloce is just saying high, wide, and handsome, now nearly 7 seconds ahead of the 2nd place car. It seems like what you said before qualifying. Oh, and Shu's around again now in turn 4. Into the outside wall. No major damage on the car, but the tires have got to be painful right now. And he goes in a single lap from 2nd all the way down to 12th now. This has actually brought Lopez back up into 10th, So back in the fray, Schumacher, involved in that early incident, has now made his way up into 8th. Dad's tough game. It looks like might be able to pass Shu, because Shu's had another incident in the following corner. Christ alive. Meanwhile, fight. Basic, PRUFC going at for 4th and 5th position. The Mercedes behind the Ferrari, and the Ferrari has caught Zengai, who is in 3rd. So Basic is trying to recover from an early spin, and due to everyone else's misfortune, he's now up in the 3rd spot. Might even get by Zengai for 2nd on the run down to turn 1, because he's got DRS. The Haas does not. Does he try and make a move? The Haas defends the outside. The Ferrari will not make a move there. Schumacher's out. Schumacher has had an incident.
It's on the main straight as well. See with all this with his teammate Dazzle Gaming.
Yellow flag only in that sector right now, but a bunch of other drivers are pitting, anticipating that this will be a full course yellow. But it doesn't seem like it's happening. No full course yellow by the looks of it. We stay green.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was. I can't really say.
Alright, well, Basic now behind the Haas once again, and they both have the Mercedes and PRUFC behind, but Basic should be close enough to make the overtake happen. Alright, coming to the party now is Schumacher SF7. Schumacher, go ahead, include your audio. Rough qualifying, rough start, you were making your way up to the grid, and then an accident. What happened from your perspective? Schumacher, can you hear me?
Yeah, back end snapped. Not going to be much more. I tried to save it, tried to damage it and get out of it, but it wasn't happening. So, yeah.
Alright.
What
Alright,
else can I say?
Well, what happened on the first lap from your perspective, considering that you started near the front of the grid and somehow got involved in it?
Basically, I've seen the other person involved, Sola's clip, and it just looks like he was given no room, but I was on his inside and I collected him and he took my front wing off. Pretty much, that's it here.
Alright, well, shame to see you out so early. You were making good hay throughout the field.
Hopefully tomorrow
until that incident. Yeah. Well, good luck, mate. We'll be looking forward to what you can do in X3.
Speak to you later.
Alright, as we turn our focus back onto the racetrack once again, Zengai is now in 2nd spot. The medium tire strategy has given him... Oh, and Vibe has now gone out! Vibe, 574 has now just had an incident in Sector 2. We are under a virtual safety car, not full course yellow, but virtual safety car. And Vibe well off the racing line. So Zengai and PRUFC in 2nd and 3rd, they both were able to take advantage and pit. Veloce not in the same position. So this now, PRUFC and TF Mr. Sean on hard tire compound, so they think the hards are the way to go to the end of this race. Zengai threw on softs. JR Footballer did not pit, so he now filters up to 2nd, but he has 32 seconds between himself and Veloce. Alright, coming in the party now is Vibe. Vibe, go ahead and include your audio. Well, I didn't want to talk to you again today, but it seems to have happened. Big incident has put us under the VSC. What happened to you? Alright, frustrating there. Looks like Dad was able to avoid hitting anything. Alright, well, shame to see you out in such a scenario. hopefully it goes better for you in the future. I guess basically in the future, just make sure you don't do that again. Alright. Say though, thanks for being willing to jump in and speak with us. Now, typically we stick with only 2 broadcasters, but well, anyways, we turn our focus back onto the racetrack. Veloce was able to make his pit stop. It was after the VSC was gone, though, so he lost some of the time. However, he still has 4 seconds over JR Footballer in second, and Footballer has still yet to make his pit stop. Zengai in third is on soft rubber and is trying to close in on Footballer in second. Basic has recovered to the 4th spot now in the Ferrari, but he is about 8 seconds or so out from Veloce at this point in the event. Well, yeah, about 8 seconds out. Lopez gets a time penalty, but everything considered, Lopez is kind of stabilized in the points paying position, about 8th spot. Also, PRUFC has served his drive-through penalty. Basic just set fastest lap there on medium rubber with a 17.497. But he does have Dave Ewart on medium tires behind him. So Dave will likely be able to move by PRUFC going down the front straightaway here with a little bit of a DRS assist. Rear wing pops open as he flies down the straight now. Looking to the outside, neck and neck, Alpine versus Mercedes. Twitch on the Mercedes, and the Alpine pulls out of it and basically aborts the attempt. I Get Dubs is losing his spot to SFR Shu. Shu, one of your potential title contenders for the series. And now we see Reese trying to make a move on Deja Vu behind. So everyone 12th through 15th all right on top of each other. Deja Vu is going to go around the outside of I Get Dubs in 1 and 2. Zengai, meanwhile, gets by Footballer. And that's without DRS. So now that changes things because now JR Footballer will have DRS on the Haas of Zengai going down the main straight, and Basic has caught both of them. Ferrari looking very aggressive already, trying to make the move on Basic, and Zengai is going to be looking right back at him. He has 2 very fast Ferrari powered cars. They're going to split up 3 wide going into the corner. Contact, and Basic's off. Basic got into the side of the Haas, trying to make it 3 wide into the section of the circuit he can barely go single file into, and he took the negative heat, went right off, and he is, well, back to 4th. No damage, but definitely going to be absolutely fuming over that. I thought it was going to be Footballer and Zengai who were going to make the mistake. I didn't think that Footballer was going to see both of them. I mean, Zengai was going to see the Ferrari on the outside and that he would end up cutting in way too hard to defend. That ended up not happening, but now Basic has to make up 5 seconds worth of ground again. I think with all this happening, though, is basically locked Veloce into an easy victory here. No one seems to be able to keep pace with him, simply because the only driver on his level of pace, who is Basic, does nothing but seem to make mistakes thus far. That's the 2nd major mistake in 17 laps. But again, so maybe Basic did take damage and hit something in that scenario, but with that in mind, this will drop Basic even further down the grid. And now for him, it's just going to be a matter of stemming the bleeding. So that promotes Flavor up into 4th spot now.
Axel Lopez down inside of Bisha before turn 1 gets the move done. That means Lopez is up to 6th now.
And the big thing considering Veloce's lead over Zengai is that Zengai is on soft rubber. So this is the fastest that Haas is going to be. But in a few laps time, those softs are going to fall off and Veloce will be able to just keep hoofing it away. Also, JR Footballer, I thought he would be able to keep pace with Zengai, but apparently not. So, yes, I know that Footballer has very worn medium tires, but I honestly thought he'd be able to keep pace with the Haas for a little bit longer. Now, he's just struggling to stay ahead. And now, JR Footballer is struggling to just keep the lapped car of I Get Dubs behind him. In fact, Dubs has actually just overtaken him using DRS, so if it wasn't one Ferrari overtaking him, it's the other. Only 3 seconds worth right now, which isn't terrible, but not ideal either.
Pure UFC with DRS is good. Pass Bishop before turn 1 to go into 7th. Bishop's got Davey right behind him. So,
And Dave Ewart, on much more worn tires than Beastian ahead, has actually closed right in onto the McLaren, as looking very aggressively for room to get around him. Maybe up the hill, maybe uphill going into the... I don't think it's even going to be a dive bomb. He is already there. He has it.
contact.
Contact. They're still side by side. But he will have DRS now on the McLaren going down the front straightaway. Now, while those two fought, it let PRUFC pull away a little bit. Alpine closing on McLaren down the straight. Easy overtake. The driver in 10th is Basic 2. He is 7.5 seconds out from this fight right now, but he is on fresher medium tires, so I think he will eventually be able to close in on this battle. However, I think for Basic, any shot trying to get a podium at this point is over in this race. Be the tires, it also may just be that the setup he has doesn't have enough downforce on the rear. Either one could be a problem. And it also could be a scenario that if you don't have enough downforce on the rear, that can lead to you sliding the rear. Spin, Sector 2, Deja Vu TV has spun it just before the uphill sector. However, he's back there in 12th, shouldn't be too much of an issue. TF Mr. Shark overtakes Flavor for 4th spot using DRS down the main straight. Yeah, he's losing ground to Dave rapidly, it seems. So... Well, the field's gotten relatively spread out at this point. I think one guy who may be in a decent position is your driver in 4th spot, TAF Mr. Shark. He is on hard compound tires. He knows that he can just turn laps and push hard to the end. If we stay green from now to the end of this race and he doesn't get any time penalties, he might be able to snipe second away from the drivers ahead, because Zengai Sauce will be falling off in about the next 4 to 5 laps. And while JR Footballer's tires should make it to the end, they're not going to be in a great position, to say the least. PRUFC, another driver who committed to hard rubber to the end of this race, and Lopez has definitely been struggling throughout the day, although he's not making as many mistakes as he was in the first about 12 laps. But I think with DRS that Mercedes is going to be at least alongside the Red Bull into the braking zone. But I think for both Footballer and Flavor, they're both betting on another yellow, whether it be full course yellow or VSC, so that way they can stem the bleeding of all the time they'd lose pitting. Ooh, PRUFC really sliding there behind the Honda as they start coming uphill at the start of Sector 2. Ooh, runs really... Yeah, I ran really wide through there, but did not get a time penalty for that. So I think this might work out well for him. Just to say that he gets a time penalty in the chicane. Yeah, he's going to go around the outside. That's not what you want to do, because if you go on the outside, the McLaren will get DRS back on the main straight, so he's going to hold back for a bit. Footballer pitting out of the top spots, so that will drop him down the order. He's got a good exit, and that with DRS means that he should be able to walk by the McLaren. And they put on worn soft tires on Footballer's car, so interesting strategy there to say the least. Scuffed reds.
A bit wide, and Lopez is gone.
And Lopez spins in coming out of 4. And again, PRUFC, although hard tires don't have a lot of grip, they're going to be a lot better than Flavor's worn mediums right now. That battle can only go in the Mercedes favor. Zingai now pitting out a second. Right now, only the top 11 cars are on the lead lap, so Reese, Deja Vu, I Get Dubs, and Dad Stuff Gaming have all been lapped at this point in the event. Veloce, if he tries to make these tires last to the end, which I think he could do, might be able to put Lopez a lap down, because Lopez is back there 11th, and although Lopez is about a full sector ahead, Lopez has also been very mistake-prone, has had several spins. Alright, so Flavor, he now...
Jerry will get past their Vision on the straight. Vision is really struggling on his mediums.
One other fight we need to watch is going to be the battle for a second, because Zingai is 3rd. He has soft rubber and is going to be closing with speed on the Alpine of TIF Mr. Shark, who is 2nd right now. Five tenths. And this is without DRS here. I think without a doubt the Haas is going to blow by the Alpine once they get onto the straightaway. I think for the Alpine, the big challenge is going to be to just try and stay within a range that he can get back by him on penalty countback. Veloce, we might see him go ahead and elect to pit in the closing laps to steal fastest lap point. He has a 37-second gap over 2nd place. And while Zingai is going to be absolutely flying for the next several laps, once we get to about 3-4 to go, those softs will have fallen off a bit. Yeah, so Veloce pitting for the last time a lot earlier than anticipated, so SFR Shu will appreciate that. That will get him back on the lead lap. That will also put Reese in 13, who's in 12th, back on the lead lap as well. Mediums off, softs on. But it doesn't matter because I'm looking at the times, and while we see him now correctly adjust, the gap between first and second is still going to be over a bit over 9 seconds, I think. Yeah, we're looking at 10.5 seconds, if not more, in Veloce's favor. This has worked out wonderfully for him. Dave Ewart's now making a pit stop. They're taking off the mediums and throwing on softs for him. And that will promote Lopez back into 8th. Both on soft compound tires. Flavor has the speed and the warmer rubber at the moment, though, but Dave's had a little bit more pace today. It's kind of hard to play defensive. If realistically, Imola, if you didn't have DRS, yes, it would be a very defensive race, but because of how stupidly overpowered DRS is on the straightaway, all you really need to do is just get within about 8/10 of somebody coming out of the final corner, and you're automatically going to be at least alongside, if not ahead of them, by the time you get into 1. For Flavor, I think there's really no winning this unless Dave makes a mistake. Yeah, that Alpine's closing just on the straight without DRS alone. We'll see the gap open up a bit. Oh, he ran into the side of him. He's coming again. He's going to try and out-drag him before they even get to the DRS zone. And now with DRS, we'll see the Alpine pulling away. Well, a little bit farther up the grid, Basic in 5th has just about caught PRUFC for 4th. Now, PRUFC is on hard tires, Basic is on mediums. Oh, Twitch, Lopez, he's crashed out. Full course safety car, and now for Veloce, the entire lead that he had worked so hard into getting is gone. All right, and coming into the party right now is XRL Lopez. Lopez, a mistake-filled race, finally earns with a crash. What happened that took you out? Alright, well, rough time for both of the Red Bull drivers. At least you were able to put together a respectable run in qualifying. Do you think you can do better next week, though? Alright, well, shame to see you out like this, but thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us. Alright. Alright, farewell. Alright, so we are down to just 14 cars left at this point in the event. The top 11 are the only ones on the lead lap. Deja Vu TV, Dad Stop Gaming, I Get Dubs, all a lap down. So as it stands right now, it's going to be a fight, I think, for the win. I think the fight for the win is basically over, because while Zengai is second, Zengai has slightly more worn tires and a time penalty. JR Footballer in 3rd has even more worn tires, and he'd have to get by the Haas before he can even try to do anything to the leader. And then TF Mr. Shark is back there in 4th. He is in good position on tires and time penalty, but again, 2 cars between himself and Veloce. I think Veloce has this race locked up in his favor. The fight, I think, is going to be... Yeah. I think the real fight is going to be from about 5th on back. Dave Ewart is on softs that still will have some good wear on them. PRUFC is on fresh medium. PRUFC has no time penalties, so he's going to just need to stay on Dave Ewart's rear bumper to the end. Flavor is back there in 7th on somewhat worn softs, as is SFR Shoe a little bit farther back, but there's going to be the lap car of I Get Dubs in between them. Basic is back there in 9th. He has fresh sauce. We know he's fast, but he's been very mistake-prone when it comes to making overtakes today. Level 6 VCN is 10th. No time penalties, fresh sauce. He could end up picking up a few more spots if he doesn't get any time penalties in this final sprint to the end. And then Reese is going to be back there in 11th, the last driver on the lead lap. Is able to catch the rear of the grid by the time we go green. Things might be good for him, but he is coming back into the pits again. I don't know what's going on. It looks like there may be wing damage somewhere, so they're replacing his front wing right now. Reese now has to rush around the entire circuit to try and catch the back grid. He's over a minute off of level 6 BC and in 10th right now. So he absolutely has to hoof it around here in order to catch the rear of the field if he wants any shot. Other thing to consider is that we will be... I know that the game doesn't really like to have us run the last lap under a safety car, so we're probably going to be going green either this lap or next lap. Good news for Reese is that he is starting to close the gap down a little bit on the straights. Yeah, he's still half a lap back. They're basically on opposite ends of the field right now, and although he will make up a decent amount of time going down the straight here, he's 50 seconds out from 10th place. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, there's no way. Like he's just finishing the main straight. He might be able to.
Well, he will have warm tires compared to everyone else whose tires will be kind of lukewarm. He's already cut down to 33 seconds now, but again, through this part of the circuit, the speed differential is a lot different. There were a safety car officially coming this lap. Yeah, so for Reese, I think it's out. Nah, Reese is not going to be able to catch the back of the grid, so we now know the 10 drivers who will get points, assuming none of them crash out, will be going green with 3 laps to go. What that means is that DRS effectively will not be used whatsoever, because DRS will be activated on the last lap when the leader's already in the DRS zone, so no one's going to have any DRS. So every overtake you see will be 100% driver skill or capitalizing on a mistake of someone ahead. Veloce just needs to not make a mistake and he can walk out here with the win. Zengai is right there behind him in the Haas for the moment. Basic overtakes Shu almost immediately. There's a little bit of contact though between the McLaren and Ferrari, and they're around hard into the wall. They're both hard into the wall. Massive accident right on the restart between Basic and Shu, and that is perfect for Reese, who sneaks by both of them. Deja Vu is also going to walk out here with points, and Jared Footballer has spun. Footballer has spun out of a top spot. That means he's going to now fall behind Reese as well. So all of a sudden, Reese not being able to catch the back of the grid has turned great. He's now up in 8th.
PRUFC sitting in 5th with Flavor already a second and a half back on him. Oh, and there's contact between the two Alpines.
Alright, and coming to the party right now is Basic. Basic, go ahead, include your audio. Massive accident there on the restart. What happened from your perspective?
I got a perfect restart. I went down the inside, he hit me once. I covered him off a little bit, then he just turned into my back wheel.
Alright, rough time. You were obviously one of the fastest cars today. Just an inability to keep it clean throughout seems to be taking you out of a chance to finish this race, sadly.
Yep.
Alright, well, thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us, mate.
No problem.
Alright, so as we turn our focus back into the midfield, PRUFC is there in 5th, right behind the Alpine of Dave Ewart. Dave still has time penalties, though. PRUFC does not. If he can just hold on to the back, he'll still walk out here with 4th position. As of now, TAF Mr. Shark in 3rd needs to try and pick up the pace against Zingai. If he can get within 3 seconds of Zingai, he can steal 2nd off that Haas. But, like you said, there's Deja Vu there. And Vu, just as I say that. Yeah, Vu has spun just as I said that. And that means now Shark may have a chance to try and run down Zingai before the end of this race and steal 2nd off of him via penalty countback. Also, now the battle, I just realized this actually means the battle for 10th is alive between 2 lapped cars because Deja Vu is 10th and I Get Dubs is only 5.5 seconds behind him with more penalties, and then Dadstop Game is another 5.5 seconds behind with no time penalties. But BCN has no time penalties. Also, Reese has caught Flavor on the last lap, a fight for 6th position between a Mercedes and an Aston Martin. How aggressively does Reese push Flavor for this? Flavor's been struggling with that car most of the day. Reese will make a good, clean overtake. He might be able to do it. It might be possible. Meanwhile, at the front of the grid, coming around the last 2 corners, he has led most of the laps today after starting 2nd. XR Veloce in the Williams slides it out of the final corner and will come across to win here at Imola. 2nd position. Oh, and he hits the wall just afterwards, but it does cross. Zingai will be a 2nd driver across the line, but Mr. Shark got him. PRUFC comes home 4th. Davey Wart 5th, Flavor 6th, Reese 7th, 8th is gonna go Beastia. Actually, Beastia might make up a few. No, 8th is Beastia, 9th is JR Footballer. In the end, Deja Vu will take 10th on penalty countback.
Deja Vu spun and he still keeps that position. That was an interesting race.
Indeed. But one man who is glad it wasn't too interesting for him is going to be your race winner, XRL Veloce, who comes home with a victory here. And we're going to try and talk with our podium finishers along with a few other people here. That was a very interesting run, to say the least.
I can agree with you on that one. That was a very intense race. Through all of A, my spins and crashes, and B, Veloce's massive gap that had fallen from that safety car, and then he kept that win.
Trying to get Veloce in to the party real quickly to hear what he has to say.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
Alright, yeah, we have Deja Vu in here. Deja Vu, go ahead and include your audio. 10th place finish, a lap down despite just being caught in a bunch of instances and spinning on the 2nd to last lap. How did you still pull off points there?
I wish I could say something like about it, but I don't know how I'll pull that off, honestly.
I mean, you even spun with 2 laps to go and still pulled off with it. I think that is the most impressive thing. You want to talk about timing the gap.
So like during the race, I was trying to get behind, we'll get past I think his name was Shu or something like that.
Mhm.
Is there a guy named Shu there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really hard to pass. But as soon as I was hoping for a safety car, and it did come right after Lopez crashed in DNF, and that was my gateway. Honestly, I knew that was my gateway ticket to to P10 or higher right there.
All right, well, you ended up pulling it off very well, mate. Do you think we'll be able to see that kind of miracle performance from you next week, though?
I think it'd be better next week. In this performance now, P10, I'm not satisfied with it at all.
All right, well, I appreciate that hunger, but I do want to say thanks for being willing to jump in with us. One other guy I want to talk to, though, Reese in 13. Reese, it honestly was not looking very good for you. On that final restart, you weren't even in position to catch the back of the grid. You end up walking out here in 7th. Walk us through that final restart from your perspective, Reese.
I was almost a minute behind after I pit again, and I was just going full out trying to catch up. But I think I ended the restart like 5 seconds behind one of the McLarens, and I just was going full out trying to gain as many positions as I could. Luckily, like, I think it was 3 people got involved in a crash during one, so yeah, I gained a lot of positions from that, and obviously.
That was the Ferrari of Basic 2 and McLaren's FSR shoe, and then also JR Baller spun separately, but...
Yeah, and I overtook Flavor on the last lap to get P7, but he obviously overtook me after penalties anyway, so... Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Our death races are like just drivers to be scouted into a division, right?
Yes, although there are some people who still run this full time. So Dev kind of serves a whole lot of different purposes. Dev partially is like a good way to gauge how good drivers are, but some drivers who just aren't very good or consistent at all sometimes just stay in Dev. There are also some drivers from X2 and X3 will run in Dev as like practice for their races that happen on Sunday. So, but Dev does have like its own championship, its own drivers and its own manufacturer's championship that's also worth watching. So, like, it is an actual serious title within XRL on its own. It's not quite as big as X1, X2, X3, but it does still have its own point standings.
So it's like Formula 4.
Yeah, you can think of it kind of like a Formula 4, but like in Formula 4, if you're really performing well enough, you could end up getting, drafted right up the grid into a higher ride mid-season.
I like that, man.
All right. Well, anyways, that's been our broadcast here today from Imola. In about an hour's time on the same channel, you can catch the realistic race, the 100% length race. That one will be going on at Hungaroring as the championship fight has begun heating up once more there. If you're interested in more racing from Imola, though, from the XRL boys, tomorrow at 5 p.m. UK time on this channel, Kinsey Retro will be hosting the broadcast for the X1 race. I, at the exact same time, will be hosting the X3 broadcast on the alternate channel, and then at 8 p.m. UK time tomorrow will be the X2 broadcast. Those are the normal times for X1, X2, X3. However, next time Dev will be on 5 p.m. UK time on Saturday on this channel next week. Till that time, though, I've been your host, Insane Lear 13. I've been joined by Ocean Lion, and near the end of that broadcast, I was also joined by Vibe 12 as well. I want to say to everyone who watched, thanks for sticking with us, and we look forward to seeing you guys next race, whether it's tomorrow, next week, or in an hour. Until then, farewell.